It is time for the reckoning. This one is for the driver who is serious and committed. It's fast, it's furious, and almost clinically brutal in how it covers the ground at astonishing speeds. It is the Porsche 911 992 GT3. But you've got to tame this beast and get to know it first. Some people might get behind the wheel of a GT3 and think, yep, you've got to drive it at breakneck speed. But actually you don't. Once you get behind the wheel, start off at standard speeds, and you'll soon find that the car is so communicative that it's talking to you straight away. So take your time to get to explore the levels of grip. Notice how sensitive the steering is. Now, with this level of sensitivity, you need to concentrate all the time. That's the best way to drive a GT3. Let it feed in, get to know it. So when you've got a feel for the car, and then you find your favorite twisty road, then you can build up the confidence, and the car, it is like poetry. So controllable. On the brakes, a lot of rhythm there. You can feel just how much grip you've got at the front and at the back, and we're in the wet here, but the throttle control is so good. The gear changes are instant. The braking is so controlled. The handling is so planted. Back and front, it really is no drama. It's all balanced. You've got to think with the way this car was tuned, and in that regard it's phenomenal. The rear wing is now integrated to keep the downforce focused on that back end. It sits low at the front, literally digging into the road at speed. This subtle combination of curves front and back make for a remarkably balanced car. 21-inch wheels to the rear, 20 at the front, along with those fantastic carbon ceramic brakes, complete the handling equation. Meanwhile, I preoccupy myself with manually shifting that semi-automatic gearbox. Personally, I'd say I'd go for the manual shift, because if you're going to go GT3, you should really go full hog, I think. But when you're on a road like this, I feel a little bit like it's driving Miss Daisy. So I will slick the gear lever over to the left and work with the manual shift. The car then becomes a little bit intoxicating, so you've got to go up one. So I'm going to go into sport. Then the car becomes keener. Then all of a sudden, the fact of not having a manual gearbox tends to matter slightly less, because if you're keen, you're playing the engine note in the background and you want to get involved with the drive. And getting involved with the drive means doing a bit of gear changing. So you kind of pick up speed like this. That was in fourth gear, by the way, so much torque. You reduce it, you start working with the throttle, then you've got more control. But the acceleration and the urge of it and the instant gear change is phenomenal. Overtakes are a piece of cake. I get quite enthusiastic about changing gears because I enjoy the control. But what I like about this is the poetry that you can achieve on the drive. And the gear changes are instant, so even I couldn't change gear that quickly. And the faster you go, it's not intimidating at all. It just gives you more confidence. They've really got this one right. This is probably one of the best road car come track cars on the market. But having driven it around 250 miles so far, there are a few things I did find a little bit niggly about it. If you drive the car on a long journey, maybe 400 miles or so, maybe the noise is a little bit too much. I'm pretty much of a purist, so I like it all the time. But then these seats, they're only adjustable for height and backwards and forwards, and you can't really adjust the rake, so they really hold you in. And whether or not that's going to be satisfactory for somebody over, say, 400 or 500 miles, is debatable. The way I look at it is the car is honest. It's actually an absolute driving experience. It is one which you need to really get better to exploit, but that's half the enjoyment of it. And I think the only way you'll be disappointed is if you go and buy this car and expect it to be cosseted for road use, because it really isn't. It's a car which you need to accept as being built strictly for performance. I was initially a little apprehensive about testing this car because I love the 911S so much. It was my 2021 car of the year. It's more settled on roads like this. It's a little bit quieter. You don't need to even try so hard. For everyday road use, I didn't think it could get better. So this car, I thought, is going to be too harsh. It's going to be too unfriendly. But no, it's kind of hit the sweet spot for me. And if I had a choice, day to day, to be going out and having such a good time with a car that was just on it the whole time, or one that was only on it some of the time, I'm afraid the GT3 would be the one that I would go for. Because if you love driving, it kind of puts you in the mood, and you can drive it forever like this because it's giving you everything you want just all of the time.